Okay, here's our video today, how ATP, adenosine triphosphate, fuels our bodies, right? And adenosine triphosphate is a molecule that stores energy. So you might hear in beginning biology classes in college that, and there is a misunderstanding about it, ATP is not fuel. It's a molecule that stores fuel when it breaks down some chemical bonds, which I'll talk about in this video. So you can think of it as a battery that your cells use to power all activities. And here's a key point. All living things use ATP. All living things that are and ever were, from a plant, bacteria, fungus, amoeba, go back in time. Go all the way back, whether you're eukaryotic or prokaryotic. Go back to the dinosaurs. Every living thing uses adenosine triphosphate. And phosphate itself, phosphate is not an element. Phosphate's a compound. So it comes from phosphorus. So you have, let's make sure the pen's working. Guess we'll use yellow here. Maybe that'll come out. So we have phosphorus and bonding to oxygen. O for oxygen, 4 oxygen molecules. And when we get phosphate. And so you can see in adenosine triphosphate, let's write it out here. And some people pronounce it adenosine or adenosine, whatever you want to do. Adenosine tri means 3 phosphate compounds. And so phosphate, right there's a phosphate. Again, phosphorus and 4 oxygens. All right. And simply, and I'll go over this in the video, when the cells need energy, they're going to break one of the bonds in adenosine triphosphate, so it becomes adenosine diphosphate. And so when they break down that bond, there is that energy being released. And you can think of it like a spring. A lot of people think of a spring, a coiled spring. My bad interpretation of a spring. But if you press down this spring, and here it is, just press down, of course, if you let go, it'll release all that energy. Or just think of a bow and arrow. When you release the arrow from the bow, all that energy is released. And so here's the molecule, the compound that is, right? And you can see right there, there's the 3 phosphates. Again, make sure the pen is working. Right there, here we go. So you see 1, 2, 3 phosphates. Ribose, we know, is a sugar. And adenine, or adenine, however you want to pronounce it, right? This is in DNA, and adenine will bond to thymine in DNA. Of course, when mRNA comes through, it will only bond adenine to uracil. So basically, simple. If we can break, see this bond here. If we can break the bond, if we can break this bond where there's just one inorganic phosphate molecule, energy will be released. Let's look at a picture of that. So here we see it, and again, you see this cut right here. So what you need is water. You can see in the picture water, and you get adenosine diphosphate. And of course, see how one of the phosphate molecules compounds is released, and all that energy is released. So ATP contains high energy phosphate bonds, especially the second and the third one. Very high energy. And so if you can, and it's unstable. ATP itself is unstable, so it must be used very quickly. But ADP, adenosine diphosphate, is more stable. So with water, once you have hydrolysis, which is happening here, all it takes is water to break down ATP and get the energy we need. So we look at hydrolysis, and the hydrolysis reaction of ATP, we can sum it up this way. We can say we have ATP, which you can see in the picture, plus H2O, dihydrogen monoxide, water. It will yield, right there's the yield symbol, ADP, adenosine diphosphate, plus an inorganic phosphate molecule, Pi, plus energy. And this energy, by the way, is used immediately. Again, ATP is unstable, so when it does break, the energy is used immediately. It is utilized within the mitochondria. ATP itself is produced and utilized in the mitochondria and also the cytoplasm of the cells, but it's not stored in large quantities because of it being unstable. It has to be used immediately. They do use some to change ADP back into ATP. That's the beauty of the body. So we get this rapid energy supply. And here's a picture of DNA, which I forgot to mention before. Forgot to show, I did mention it. So there's adenine or adenine. As you can see, it's bonding to thymine in DNA itself. Of course, when mRNA, an RNA molecule, comes by and it codes this, it'll bond adenine to uracil as it leaves the nucleus. So the water that the cells need to break down ATP, of course it comes from, let's show a picture of that. It comes from extracellular fluid. And, the cells are surrounded by this fluid, which contains water. And, of course, water will move through osmosis across the cell membrane and gives us the water that the cells need to break down ATP. And then finally, like I said before, we need that extra energy, any energy that's left over, energy for regeneration. So as you can see from the cycle over here, we have the breakdown of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And got to make sure that pen's always working. And of course with water, and then you have the energy released, and then we get adenosine diphosphate over here. And then of course with the adenosine diphosphate, which is stable, we need energy again to turn it back into ATP, as you can see here, and the cycle begins over and over again. So that's how the body uses ATP for fuel.